Hi, I'm Ariel and I'm here to talk to you about Google Trends. The reason why Google Trends is such a unique tool is because it's the closest we can get to what people's intents are and what they're searching every day. The reason is that we have 50,000 searches every second. That's 3.5 billion every day on Google. 15 to 20% of these are actually new every day. This means that we can discover new trends at a very quick pace. So the reason why Google Trends is such a great tool is because it basically gives us a window into people's intent as opposed to what they claim they're doing. This is also the reason why a lot of journalists and researchers have been using the tool to a large extent. And this means that it's also amazing for advertisers to see what their consumers are really looking for and wanting help with. So I'm going to start by going through the basic settings of the Google Trends Explore section. So the first setting that you can choose is basically the country. The second setting you can do is for the time period, and you can choose everything from a couple of hours ago or minutes ago to months and years ago. You can also choose a category or vertical. These are quite unintuitive often, so it's good to just type something in the box that you know belongs to the category that you want to look at, and it will give you suggestions of actually which category that you might be looking for. And the last one is to choose the entity that you want to look at. And you can choose not only Google search, although I do recommend that one as being the best one, but you can also look at YouTube data, you can look at image search or news search as well. So there are some extra settings that I would like to explain to you as well. The first one is for sharing. It basically means that you can just click that link to share with colleagues or friends. The second one is a plus button, basically just meaning that you can subscribe. The last one is the most important one, is the settings one. It basically allows you to get more data or to create your own graphs based on the data that you're seeing in an interface. It also allows you to change the time zone, which is important for the hourly analysis. And it also allows you to change the language that you're analyzing the data in. So let us go into the search terms and how to use them. So you might remember how it used to work when you used to search online back in the days and you had to put quotation marks and pluses and minuses to get to the optimal search results. Basically, within Google Trends, this is exactly the same things. So imagine that you would be typing tennis shoes, just the two words as they are. That basically means that you're looking for anything that contains the words tennis and shoes in any given context. So it could be that you actually mean that I don't like to wear shoes when I play tennis. It doesn't have to do with tennis shoes necessarily. If you then add quotation marks around the words, it means that you're looking for that exact search term, so tennis and shoes. But it could be within the context of other words. So it could be that tennis shoes are expensive, or tennis shoes are cheap, or I don't like tennis shoes. So if you instead would put, for instance, tennis plus shoes, that means that you're looking for any search terms that contain either tennis or shoes. This technique is mostly used when you have brands that are called multiple things or are often misspelled. You can also use a minus to get the opposite. So for instance, if you would write tennis minus shoes, you would get any results containing tennis, but nothing containing shoes. So this technique works as well within the box, and you can combine these as you want. So you can put a quotation mark, a plus, a minus within one of the boxes. And as long as you stick to below 25 search terms, you'll have this kind of optimized version of your search. So it's good to know that there's an additional feature that basically allows you to search by either search term or topics. And a topic basically means that it's the whole category containing tons and tons of words that belong to that category. So it's our algorithm that understands it, and you don't have to do the work yourself. The topic is just a search term or whatever search terms or combination of search terms that you've entered into the bucket. So a great example to show this is basically using Coca-Cola. So as you start typing Coca-Cola in the search boxes, it will give you suggestions of whether you mean the search term itself or if you mean a topic, so as the beverage Coca-Cola or the company Coca-Cola. And if you use the topic, it will understand the topic in a broader sense. So it will understand any given terms that people have been searching that contain Coca-Cola. So it could be Coke, Cola, Cola Light, etc. And the algorithm is so smart that it actually understands the difference between people searching for Coke, meaning Pepsi, or Coke, meaning Coca-Cola, based on the actions that they've taken around that search, essentially. If you choose the topic only or the search term only, basically it will only take into account those exact words that you've put within that bucket. As you can see from the graph, you get a way more encompassing view if you use a topic as opposed to a search term. Another thing that is good to note is that you get a dotted line when you're looking for a topic, and you get a solid line when you're looking for a search term, which is a good way of kind of spotting whether you're looking at a topic or a search term in the graphs. So one thing that's really important to note when it comes to the data within Google Trends is that it's always normalized and indexed. By indexed, it means that at any given time period and any given data that you're looking at, it always has a 100 point, which is the highest point, and everything will be relative to that. By normalized, I mean that if you're looking at a graph, say a housing graph, and you see that the slope is slightly decreasing, it does not necessarily mean that the searches for housing has been decreasing in absolute terms. It just means that the interest for housing queries have been decreasing relative to the overall interest online of searches, essentially. On the opposite side of that, if you see a line that is increasing, you know that it's been increasing more than the general interest for searches overall. This is also super useful when you look at analysis of different countries, for instance, because it means that you can compare something across a multitude of countries. Say you're looking at Angry Birds between the US and Finland and the UK, and in absolute terms, obviously, the searches will be highest in the US. But actually, as you can see from the graph, it's the highest in Finland, because that's where Angry Birds is from. And this is obviously the relative interest in Finland of Angry Birds as opposed to the other countries. So there are also other ways of tailoring how you look at your data. So there are 3 settings that are very important to know of. The first one is search terms, which is the standard one that we've been discussing so far. It allows you to put in 5 search terms and compare them to each other. The other way you can do it is to choose one of these search terms and compare it across 5 different locations. So it could either be a region or a country. The last way to do it is by time period. So you choose this one topic again, or one search term, and you compare it across 5 different time ranges that you choose by custom. So Google Trends has another feature as well, which is really, really useful and helps you rank consumer interests in any given topic, essentially. So let's assume that you're a brand and you have this new product launch and you want a celebrity to endorse that product, but you're not sure which celebrity to choose. Google Trends can help you choose which one to use. Let's assume that we narrowed it down to 5 celebrities. We have Madonna, Lady Gaga, Miley Cyrus, Britney Spears, and Katy Perry. If we look at the graph, we can see that Lady Gaga has been the biggest over time. She's the purple line. But you can also see that Miley Cyrus has this huge peak at the end of the graph. This was from when she was very controversial at the MTV Awards. So it could lead you to believe that actually she's the biggest star right now, or at the time that you were looking at this graph, but it could also be a controversial choice to choose her at that given time. So it's very good to kind of double check your data and why these peaks have been, but they actually show the general consumer interest for these people at any given time. On the left-hand side of the graph as well, you get a very good indication of the total interest of these people over the full time period that you're looking at, essentially. So it's important to look at that as well. Okay, so there's another feature within Google Trends that's really, really useful to know. So basically, you can use this topic feature that we discussed previously to make a global analysis. It basically means that you don't need to speak any given language to be able to analyze the data within a country. So if you choose a topic, let's take pregnancy as an example, you can actually make a global analysis of pregnancy using the topic pregnancy. And it will understand any given language that people have been spelling pregnancy in. It also allows you to right-click the data and you can translate into English. That means that you get all the different languages translated into English at once. And if you don't remember what the original word was, or you want to go back to what it looked like before, you can basically hover above the word that you just translated, and it will give you the original spelling and the original language that you had as well. It's good to note that at the bottom of the interface, you always have the top and rising queries of any given search that you've made. You might notice sometimes that it says breakout. This basically just means that it's more than 5,000% increase versus the period that you're looking at right now. So it just means that basically the word has never been searched for before the time period that you're looking at.